Hello guys, this is Prime Concepts. I'll be taking you on a very simple concept on vectors. I'll be breaking down the concept such that anybody would understand it. Now, what are vectors? First of all, in physics, we have physical quantities. Everything we talk about in physics are all physical quantities. What are physical quantities? Physical quantities are quantities that you can measure and assign to them a unit of measurement. And in physics, physical quantities can generally be classified based on their direction into two. We have one of them is vector quantities, and the other one are scalar quantities. For the sake of what we're doing now, we won't be considering scalars. We want to look solely on vectors. Now, what are vector quantities? Vector quantities are quantities that have magnitude. Magnitude simply means size. So vectors are quantities that have magnitude and also have directions. So those are vectors. Example of vectors would include displacement. That is one basic example. Another one is velocity. Another one is acceleration, and so on. We have force, we have momentum, and so on. Now, we want to look at how we can represent vectors, because for the sake of this, we'll be considering the representation of vectors and how to carry out some mathematical operations on vectors. So first of all, how do we represent vectors? Vectors can be represented in different ways. Our basic representation would be the Cartesian representation. Cartesian representation. Cartesian representation of vectors would include the use of x, which is a Cartesian coordinate, y, and z. So whenever vectors are represented in these three dimensions, the x, y, and z, it's known as Cartesian representation of vectors. And so we have a quantity, which is a. I want to represent a as a vector in Cartesian coordinate. It will be written as a equals axi plus ayj plus azk. So this is how we represent the vector a in Cartesian coordinates. Now, what does ax, ay, and az represent? Ax is known as the component of the vector in the x direction. So whenever you see I is called a unit vector that points in the x direction. So it means ay is the component in the x direction, ay is the component in the y direction, az is the component in the z direction. So these things are called components of vector. Now I'll give a simple example. So we have a equals 2i plus 3j minus 4k. So this is a simple vector in Cartesian coordinates. So where the component of this vector in the x direction is going to be 2, the component in the y direction is going to be 3, and the component in the z direction is going to be minus 4. And the next thing we want to consider, since we have this, how do we find the magnitude? Remember, we established that vectors are quantities that have magnitude. So how do we find the magnitude given any vector? It's very simple. To find the magnitude is denoted by this symbol. So whenever you find this symbol in physics, it simply means magnitude of a vector. Now, how do I find the magnitude of vector A? The magnitude of vector A is going to be the square root of the square of each component. What do I mean? The first component I have here is 2. So I have 2 square plus the next component is 3 square plus the next component is negative 4 square. So if you observe, you will notice that my negative 4 is inside a bracket so that you don't make mistake in your punching. So if you solve this, you would have the square root of 4 plus 9 plus 16. And if you add them up, 4 plus 9, 13, plus 16, I think it should be 29. So what we have here is the magnitude of vector A. So it's very simple to always find magnitude, right? Now let's check another